Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to Mod Extra Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review here on the channel. And as you can see on the screen in front of you right now, today's installment's taking a closer look at the new G.I. Joe Classified series, Hydro Viper. So stick around, I'm going to give you all the ins and outs, ups and downs that you need to know about the Hydro Viper. So if you've been thinking about picking one up for yourself, you'll have good, thorough information to make a purchase decision around. We're going to kick things off by jumping back in time and visiting past Chris, who's going to take a look at the packaging on the day it arrived on my doorstep. Then we'll move on to the figure itself and talk about the Hydro Viper's aesthetic and visual experience, talk about the articulation and posability, have a closer look at the accessories and decide whether they're added value, and then drop him in next to a couple of other figures to see how he looks in amongst the rest of the collection. And with all that said and done, you should have plenty of information to make a decision as to whether the Hydro Viper's the one you want to crack your wallet and purse open for. So let's get into it, and let's jump back in time to visit past Chris, who's taking a look at the packaging. Here we go. All right then, folks, well, here is the Hydro Viper in packaging, and as you can see, it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified series packaging motif we've seen for a while now. So we've got the Hydro Viper name in the top left, the Cobra logo to indicate it's a Cobra character, the G.I. Joe Classified series logo across the bottom, that kind of carbon fiber pattern in around the back, and then the window showing off the figure and all the goodies. Then on the back, we have the digital render showing off the figure in an action pose. It's 199 in the line. Couple of breakaway windows showing off a few of the key features. Legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom. I've got an import sticker on mine here because it's come from a retailer here in the UK that imports their stock. Shout out to In Demand Toys once again. And then we've got the file card information down here. Let's take a closer look and learn more about the Hydro Vipers together, shall we? And first up here, I'm pretty sure that that's the symbol for the ice hockey team, the New Jersey Devils. Hydro Vipers are massive fans of ice hockey and particularly massive fans of the New Jersey Devils. Then we've got some kind of direction travel arrows here. This is to indicate that Hydro Vipers, as one of their recruitment requirements, must be gold standard badged up map readers from the Boy Scouts. Then there's a little paw print, which seems odd because the creature companion, doesn't have paws. It's a ray. And then finally, we've got a trident here. The Hydro Vipers, for obvious reasons, are huge fans of Aquaman comic books. Got the artwork on the side of the box here. This one's not too bad compared to some of the janky pieces of artwork we've had in recent times, but still, it's still not living up to the standard of the packaging artwork that we had in previous years. And then on the other side, a repeat of a load of the information and the QR code to nowhere. And there you go then, folks. There is the Hydro Viper in packaging for the minting box folks or anyone interested in the peg presence of the figure. But I'm not minting box. I'm going to be cracking this bad boy open, getting good and hands-on with some man-child playtime. I'm going to pose him up, going to take some photos with him, get him in display with a couple of other of my Cobra weirdos, see how he fits in amongst the gang, jot down a few review thoughts and share those review thoughts. So stick around because future Chris is going to come back and do that in 3, 2, 1. Okay, folks, on to the review section of the video now. Then we're going to start by talking about the aesthetic, the visual experience of the Hydro Viper figure. And to kick things off, I'm going to start with the full head-to-toe view like I usually do, so you can take a look at the figure as it comes out of packaging. This is just the core figure released from the plastic prison here now, so no head swap on it, no accessories added to it, etc., etc. And the first thing that stands out to me, of course, is that it's clearly very heavily inspired by the vintage figure. Except for this head, of course, the head swap that we'll take a look at a little later on, the sort of devilish head swap thing, is obviously much more in line with the vintage figure. But the core visual identifying features are there: the purple and red colour scheme, the scaly vest, the red trimmings, the pouch belt across the middle. The only thing I think, if memory serves me correct, that's different is that these two pouches here, were they not like a bright orange? Have I remembered that right? I should always check this stuff before I start talking on a hot mic, shouldn't I? But broadly speaking, yeah, it's the vintage figure, but obviously it's been interpreted in the classified scale, in the classified style, so it's got more texture, more depth, little touches, little additions, like I think these fins on the arms are new. Overall vintage inspired. It's an interesting one, this one, actually, because for me in the UK, I don't know if there's any other UK viewers used to read Action Force Monthly, which was the continuation of Action Force bi-weekly. The Hydro Viper was orange and red, was in an orange jumpsuit. Wetsuit, sorry. So, yeah, interesting one nonetheless. And before we go any further, I'm going to address it. The regulars around these parts will call me out for it. No, I don't usually buy divers. I don't buy aquatic figures. I will talk about that a little bit more later on. But I had to go for this one because it's just too wacky and out there. And I had one as a kid. So I've got that kind of nostalgic memory of it. So there you go. So getting in a bit closer then, let's have a look at the eyes to start with. Look at them. That whole kind of genetically modified eel type thing that the Hydro Viper is heavily reflected in that creepy, weird green eye thing that's going on. I love it when they communicate so much information, so much character and personality with just a little eye slot like that. They do that really, really well in Classified, and you can see that the sculpting, like the frown and the eyes and the kind of dark inset on the eyes and stuff, really, really good. Very eye-catching part of the figure with this head sculpt on. It's a tough one because obviously the other head sculpt is obviously much more vintage accurate and has got a lot of character and personality itself. But as far as this one goes, awesome. And then you can see he's got a little dive mask on. We've got that scaly texture going through the wetsuit here into the main body. Nice contours. You can see like the shape of the ears underneath the wetsuit hood there, which is nice to see. And then moving further down into the figure, that scaly pattern continues into this sort of vest piece at the top with various embellishments in brown and red, like these little kind of oxygen pipes and things, and little shoulder pads, and the brown pouches on the front. Although I do have a little bit of a sloppy paint job there, look, on the top of the pipe, a bit of red paint on top of the purple, but negligible. Then we've got the kind of core purpley wetsuit underneath, good kind of muscular sculpting throughout the body. I'm pretty sure we've seen the core of this book before on like a wetsuit or the eels or something. And then the brown leather effect on the pouches with the sculpted detail on those across the front. Although they won't be leather, will they, for a diver? Surely not. Then coming down the arm here, you can see we've got this little kind of forearm strap with a couple of black dots painted on, and then this longer bracer on this left arm here with some like diving data and information on some little HUD displays, or well, HU displays. It's not HUD displays; they're just HUDs. With the sculpted fin coming out there, and then of course the classic webbed fingers, hands. Just on one side, no hand swap, sadly, nor is there a webbed hand for the other side. Obviously, just sticking very religiously to the vintage inspiration of the figure there. On this side, the brace is a bit more bland, still got the scaly texture, still got the fin. There's a little bit of black section on the underside, but no additional features. Nice sheath on the thigh here, has got the scaly motif on it, design on it as well. That's in a kind of purpley colour to match up with the tactical vest. And same again for the harpoon pistol holster on the ankle here in that purple colour again, deeper purple colour with the scaly texture across the top. And then more scaly bits on the little booties with the grips and the red sections, just to kind of give it some symmetry and bring it to life even more. Speaking of symmetry, I've mentioned this before, G.I. Joe Classified often has kind of symmetrical designs to make it very easy on the eye, and the Hydro Viper here is no different, nice and balanced, not too crowded either, just comes together really, really nicely in terms of the colours, symmetrical colours and symmetrical designs and textures. And like always, they made sure they've sculpted in the back as well, so you've got the texture on the back of the tactical vest, the padding on the back of the tactical vest, the wetsuit hood zip comes all the way around, little texture design, little ribbing in the back of the belt there, so full 360 experience. So aesthetically, yeah, this is a thumbs up, another great addition to the Cobra Viper ranks, another great colourful addition to the Cobra Viper ranks, and I am all for it. So I said I'd circle back around to this idea that I don't normally go for divers, and this, I've experienced it very much with the visual experience of this character, because even though I like it visually, even though I like the colours, I like the Cobra weirdo element with especially with the head swap, but even with this head, with the mutant eyes and stuff, all appeals to me greatly. But short of getting in the bath or having a fish tank, I find it very hard to display or photograph them. And then when I pop him on a shelf next to other Vipers, it just looks weird, especially if you put the flippers on and stuff, So while I like the visual experience, and I think aesthetically they've done a very good job sculpting it, I have encountered the same issue that I always encounter with like aquatic characters, in that it just doesn't look right on the shelf, dude in a wetsuit. And so, while I am going to give it a thumbs up and say yes, absolutely, aesthetically, this is a very well put together figure. Great homage, great homage and reinterpretation of the vintage version of the figure. I struggle with them visually on the shelf when I put them next to other figures. They just look odd to me. These sort of divery types in wetsuits. It looked like it'd fit in more with the spandex crowd on my Marvel Legends display. You know what I mean? So, but that's very personal to me. That's very personal to me. Your mileage will vary on that. But I'm giving it a thumbs up because, fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with it. That's just like a thing I have. So there we are. Okay, let's now take a look at the articulation, shall we? Let's see how he poses. And before I get into it, folks, I'll say the same as I always say. The articulation is fairly standard G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation. There's one or two quirks, but nothing wild. So if you've had a G.I. Joe Classified Series figure in hand before, not interested in the articulation section of the review, I'll put timestamps in, jump forward to the next chapter where I have a chat about the accessories and added value. However, if this is the first G.I. Joe Classified Series review you've ever watched, or you do want to know a bit more about the quirks with this one, stick around, I'll talk you through it, and we'll get started with the head. So the Hydro Viper's got a ball at the base of the skull and a ball at the base of the neck, but he is a bit tight. He's a bit tricky. So his back's up to there. His down doesn't go very far there. I'm not getting a lot of movement from the ball at the base of the neck, but you can full 360 and you can tilt and whatnot on the ball at the top of the neck. So the movement's there. It's just a bit tight. I will heat him up some more, but I've just not got around to it, frankly. Moving down into the shoulders, then we've got the butterfly joint giving some shuffle back and forth, and then the peg and the hinge, so you can go all the way around full 360 and T-shape him out like so. Got swivel here at the top of the bicep and tricep, pinless double elbow that will get you up to there, and then pegged in hands that can move at the wrist, and then this right hand has got an up and down hinge on it, and this left hand has got a forward and back hinge on it. Going down into the torso, definitely got a ball joint at the waist. I think there's a standard G.I. Joe hinge under there, but I can't get any movement out that hinge at all because of the way this kind of vest over the top sits, and it's not cut high enough up here to get the movement. So all your crunch and everything is all done on the ball joint in the waist. Here's a weird thing I've noticed with this one. This piece is like a loose piece over the top of the figure. I don't often see that section loose like that, but there you go. But nonetheless, it's the drop down hinge stroke groin joint, which gives you forward to there and gives you Russian ballet splits out to there. Then there's swivel at the top of the thigh, pinless double knee that'll get you up to there, swivel cut at the ankle at the top of the little wetsuit booties, and then hinge and rocker for the feet and ankles. So yeah, he articulates fine. It's a thumbs up, maybe an 11 o'clocker, half tenner because of the hinge in the middle. One of the things I did do when I was posing him up, I thought, right, what I'll do is I'll solve this problem of struggling to take photos with him because I don't really have watery scenes to take photos in. I put him on a flight stand and I thought I'd Photoshop some water in behind him, which I did do. I don't know how well that went. I may not share those photos. They're janky, to be honest. But I definitely noticed in that act of trying to pose him up on a flight stand with his flippers on and stuff, not having the hinge and that extra bit of motion in there, and then the tighter neck was a little bit tricky. Like I say, I'll heat him up more, which should solve some of that problem. Well, not the hinge in the middle, but the neck problem. So I'm going down to sort of 11, half 10 on the thumbs up. Just a little deduction because of that. But overall, yeah, fine, up to the usual G.I. Joe Classified Series standard. Okay, so there's the articulation and posability for you folks. Let's now take a look at his accessories and added value, shall we? And let's start this section off with the head swap, which is the more traditional Hydro Viper devilfish mask helmet, diving helmet type thing, which is obviously much more heavily inspired by the vintage figure. And this looks awesome. I mean, look at it. You got that nice scaly effect in the red sections. You've got these kind of fin ear pieces which match up to the fin sections on the wrists, and in a moment the flippers that I'll show you. Got this really gross kind of like mandibled breather mask at the front, the little yellow dots in the eyes, just making it a little bit more kind of mean and intimidating, with that little yellow triangle in the middle. You got the fin across the top, which is in the black plastic, but you can see nice sculpted contour shapes in there. Comes together really, really well, the head swap. And I will actually be kind of a little bit divided on this one as to which one I'll display him with, because I really love the eyes in that one. But for the Cobra weirdo tick, it's got to be this one, hasn't it? We then got a couple of hoses attached to this breather mask at the front with the little mandibles on them that swing around the back. This is just kind of standard, kind of plasticky, softer plastic kind of hose type thing that we've seen in G.I. Joe Classified series before with the ribbed effect through it, which leads me nicely to the Hydra Viper's backpack, which of course is a massive oxygen tank, diving oxygen tank. You've got the two big tanks on here. This divery accessory bit at the bottom. I'm sorry, folks, I don't do diving, so someone will have to educate me on the engineering of that. But it's got pipes and sculpted details and little dials in. Could have done with a wee paint application here or there, like at the tips of the oxygen tanks or on the dials at the back, but that's fine. Little carry handle at the top, all lovely jubbly. And then the way it sits on him, it's got this kind of curved piece in where the peg is, just like really sit it nice and flush against his back, even though they've sculpted in the padding on there, which I love. And then you'll notice here this little section here at the top with the peg holes in it to put the other ends of the breather tubes into. There we are, like so. They're small and they're tight. It's a fiddle, especially when you got big like sausage fingers like me and impatient too. But if you persist and you get them pushed in enough, you're fine. And there's enough kind of room in there that when you're moving the head around, everything stays fine. That's not the same on another figure in this wave. Spoiler alert. Tight. I'll come to that'll be the next review probably. So yeah, that comes together really nicely and obviously finishes off the sort of diver experience bit with the diving mask. Then the Hydro Viper comes with his flippy floppies, but these ain't no standard flippy floppies here. Flippers. These are leaning into the devilish sea monster theme. For sure. So you can see you've got these kind of long toes there with the webbing in between, little claw pieces on the end of the toes, the scaly effect continued throughout the foot section and along those long toes. And then a little padded section on the top. And then on the bottom, look at that, it's got like a little skeleton design in it, as well as the foot pegs, which is nice. They go all the way through, if you're foot pegging him onto something. Now, these are specific. There's a left and a right. There's the left foot, there's the right foot. But they're pretty straightforward. You just kind of hook the foot in and slide it along. You have to sometimes pull that back a bit, but it's, as you can see, it's nice and soft to get it fitted onto the foot. La 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 la. Like that. There. And like so. And then, there you go. As easy as that. And as you can see there, the red of the flippers and the design and everything's consistent with the rest of the figure, so it ties well with the other red sections. And the kind of sea monster demon-y thing that he's got going on. Then the Hydro Viper comes with a little weapon loadout. We've got the dagger and the harpoon pistol. The dagger is a single piece of moulded plastic, sadly not a painted blade, although it probably just scrape off anyway. But really unique design and obviously paying homage to the vintage dagger design with a sculpted handle as well. And then you've got the harpoon pistol, again, single piece of moulded plastic, got the harpoon sticking out the end here, little kind of sculpted in section in the main body, little trigger guard bit, and then the handle that he holds, which is fine, yeah, it looks like what it's supposed to be. And both of these have on-figure storage. The harpoon pistol goes in this ankle holster there like that. And then the dagger goes in this sheath on the thigh. And then finally, we've got the Hydro Viper's little creature companion, the Devil Ray, I believe, signified by the devilish tail and obviously matching the kind of devil sea monster thing that he's got going on. This is fine, yeah, nice sculpted detail. I mean, it looks like a ray. Do you know what I mean? It looks like a ray. It's a single piece of molded plastic though, so there's not anything exciting going on in terms of articulation or anything. But it is well sculpted. You can see the sculpted details in there. It's got the lighter colour across the bottom and the sculpted in gills. You can see the sculpted in mouth, little paint applications on the red dot eyes, little flicky wisp on the tail, so it's fine. I can't see myself using this one a great deal particularly, but again, in line with the vintage release of the figure, who came with the little Devil Ray as well. Now, overall, it is a solid accessory selection, and it certainly comes with you know, on theme, good stuff that allows you to lean into the storyline, the narrative that you might want to tell with the figure in the way that you display it and the way that you take photographs of it. I think it is a little let down by the fact that they've sort of religiously adhered to the homage to the vintage figure, and therefore haven't, you know, given us a set of matching hands either side. You know, so you've got a webbed hand for the right arm and a grippy hand for the left arm, kind of thing. If there was one criticism, I'd probably say that's it, because I find him a little imbalanced on that front, you know. But otherwise, everything's great. I love the mask. The head mask is the main reason I've picked up this figure and broken my no divers rule. So yeah, overall it's solid, but I think the hand swaps are an oversight. Always happy to have a head swap though. Always good to see that in the mix. So there you go. Added value, yeah, I think so. So thumbs up on the accessories, but coming down a little bit again to around half 10, in acknowledgement of the fact that I wish there were hand swaps. All right, let's now take a look at the Hydro Viper next to a couple of other G.I. Joe classified figures, shall we? And let's start the comparison by popping him next to Copperhead, who is literally the only other water-themed Cobra I own. I'm sorry, folks, I got no eels put next to it, but yeah, there he is with Copperhead, I suppose. Here's the Hydro Viper next to the Range Viper, another group of Vipers that follow the same kind of scary mask philosophy. Here's the Hydro Viper next to just a bog standard Viper. I think this is the Cobra Island edition with the slightly brighter reds rather than the 2-pack one. But yeah, just thought I'd put him next to a normal Viper. Why not? And here's the Hydro Viper next to Big Boa. Just another Cobra who's like really committed to their theme. And here's the Hydro Viper going around on the turntable, ladies and gents, so you can take a look at the character 360. And while you're eyeballing that, I'll offer up some final thoughts. And it's a good figure, guys. It's a good figure. It's a lovely homage to the vintage figure. It's slightly reinterpreted, only a little bit, but it's still been classifiedized a touch to modernize it a wee bit. It looks great. It's sculpted great. Could it do with some hand swaps? Yes, it could. But the overall experience, visually, articulation-wise, and in terms of accessories, is positive. I just can't get on board with divers. I'm sorry. I went with this one because I had one as a kid, like I said at the top of the video. The mask is just Cobra weirdo enough to fit in with my kind of Cobra weirdo section of the collection. But I've really struggled. I've really struggled to get a feel for how to pose it and get a feel for how to photograph it and get a feel for how to display it. And I understand that's totally a me thing. That's totally a me thing and shouldn't influence your purchase decision whatsoever. But that's just where I'm at with it. So I like it, but I've really not been picking it up a great deal since it arrived 4 or 5 days back now. Just I've been leaning much more into Overkill, Dawn Moreno, Sundown. I've been playing loads with Sundown. You know, admittedly, I've only been home for a limited amount of time as well because I've been away a lot lately. But yeah, it's just not captured my imagination as much as the others have, and I think it's the diver thing. So, you know, it's my own fault. I broke one of my own rules. I'm rule breaking all over the place. Duplicate characters, buying divers. Next thing you know, I'll be picking up vehicles. But I don't think that should influence your purchase decision because I think it is a well put together figure for sure. So if you're into divers, you're into the Hydro Viper, you want that classic look, that modern reinterpretation of the vintage design, then they've nailed it. They've got it. They've got you. No problem at all. So there we go. Okay, folks. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you did find this useful. I hope you did use it to help you make a purchase decision. If you did, then do all the YouTubey stuff, press the buttons and things that help a brother out. Otherwise, all that remains to say is thanks for watching. I hope you have yourselves a good day. I hope yourselves have a good week. And swing back around for another video sometime soon. It'd be my absolute pleasure to have you. So, yeah, that's it. I'm finishing there. Thanks very much. Ta-ra now.